Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Thanks for joining us. Sorry, I didn't give you more than 2 minutes to show up before I decided we were just calling it quits.
That's that's okay. I actually like literally finished a run like 5 minutes ago.
Oh well, it's funny. I was just in a virtual group run, and we were all talking about our run. So tell us about your run tonight.
Nice. No, so I had 10 miles today. And I procrastinated a lot because I usually do that. And then I thought about it. I started kind of like so 10 miles. I was like, if I do the Instagram live and then went and ran, that would be too late. So I started running pretty late, and I just gave myself about 5 minutes to finish.
What pace were you doing 10 miles at this point, 2 months after the trials?
Yeah, so I ran 7 minute pace today.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm just running by feel every day. You know, like if I feel good, I felt good today, so I was just running a little faster. But usually, however, I feel like right now, I think for the first time in my life, I'm just running by feel.
And for those who don't know who are watching in Atlanta, you're doing 7 minute pace at 7,000 feet, so that's like 6 minute pace here.
About 6,800 feet, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, just yeah. I want to get something out of the way real quick. I want to let everybody know these are sold out, right?
Yes, they are sold out. Actually, if you can see from my background,
oh wow!
Oh, I love it.
I love it. It's not really the season in Atlanta to be wearing this, but I've got one. My wife's got one.
It looks so good on you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Red is my color. I want to. We'll get back to the beanies because I'm sure you talk about the beanies a lot. I want to just ask you, how are you? How is pandemic life for you?
You know, I am good. Pandemic life is not exactly ideal, but you know, it is what it is. I have initially when we were in Atlanta about 2 months ago, things were so different. And I remember at the press conference, you know, somebody asked, you know, what we thought about going to London. I mean, not London, but Tokyo with the coronavirus. And I remember thinking, like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, at that point, I think I was so single-minded that I just didn't think about the virus. And then 2 weeks after that, things were completely different. And so right initially when the news came out, I was very heartbroken. It was very hard for me to deal with it. I struggled probably for a while. But I think right now I've come to terms with it. And, you know, it's in the grand scheme of things, what I'm going through is not, you know, as bad as what everyone else is going through. You know, like we have 50,000 people already lost their lives just in the United States alone. So what I'm going through is nothing compared to that. But, you know, I'm in Santa Fe. I've been in Santa Fe for the last 8 weeks. So the only positive thing about this situation is that I get to spend more time with him in Santa Fe.
Mm-hmm. Are you in Santa Fe now, or are you in Flagstaff?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm in Santa Fe right now. Yeah.
But you were honest about how this has impacted you. You've put your personal life on hold because of the longer layoff before the Olympics. You know, I know it's all relative, but people are impacted by this in different ways. But it's good that you're seeing sort of the positive side of all this.
Yeah,
it's changed your life a lot, though.
However, like I saw yesterday something that said, you know, if the Olympics doesn't happen next summer, like assuming that we don't have a vaccine and the virus, you know, like resurges again in the fall and in the winter, you know, they said that they'll scrap the Olympics. Now that will really crush me. I don't know, like it's kind of hard because right now you don't really know what's going to happen, and you don't even know what's going to happen next month, let alone next year. And so it's pretty hard, but you know, I think I take refuge in knowing that I am not the only one affected, that there's a lot of people affected. It's the entire world. So, you know, yeah.
Do you ever think about, because I find myself thinking about this all the time, if the trials had been a week later, there would not have been a trials. Do you think about that at all?
I do. And, you know, I am so glad that the trials was that week because, oh my gosh, like it would have been really hard. I mean, I know that there are people who are still experiencing things worse than me. I'm in a better place compared to a lot of people, but I am so glad that the trials was when it was. And yeah, if it had been just a week after, because I remember LA Marathon was like the week after, and you know, they were already talking about people like running 6 feet away apart from each other, and that was the last race. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was crazy.
A question about about how training has changed for you. You guys have a tight knit group there in Flagstaff. Are you able to train with your team, or are you running solo now because of all this?
I'm running solo. I have been running solo since I started running, which was 2 weeks after Atlanta. And even our group are running solo. It's been kind of hard in the sense that, I mean, it's not a big deal because I'm not doing fast workouts. You know, even like yesterday we had a virtual 5K for New York Road Runners. I just ran pretty easy. I ran like a 5:37 pace, but like I haven't done like kind of crazy workouts, so it's been fun in that respect. But then like there are days where like you have a long run, like this weekend I have 20-mile long run, and I'm like, I cannot imagine running 20 miles by myself without anyone handing me water. That would be really hard.
Does Tim ride on the bike?
So it's been challenging.
Does Tim ride on the bike?
Tim has to work it. Sometimes Tim does that, but then like he's on call for he works for 12 hours this weekend. He's a physician assistant, so unfortunately I won't have that opportunity.
You're right. He's in the healthcare field, correct?
He is, yeah. He's a physician assistant.
Right. And I imagine his hours have increased, and he's working a lot harder than he would normally because of this.
Surprisingly, no. You know, I think even the clinic, like it's not as busy as it is usually around this time of the year. I think a lot of people who have like normal flu or symptoms that they don't feel like they need to go to the clinic don't go. So they've been pretty slow actually.
And you have a background in healthcare. I remember when you won Peachtree, you had to get back the next day because you were at home health aide, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any desire to go back and do it, or how does it make you feel knowing that there's so many healthcare workers that are on the front lines of this right now?
Oh my God! I mean, I think about 3 weeks ago, I really wanted to go back to work because that was when like New York was suffering a lot, and cases were rising pretty fast. And I thought about like renewing my license. My license is just a certified nursing assistant. And I thought about doing that, like renewing it and then just going to work at the hospital just because like I miss working. I haven't worked for the last 2 years now because I had a job for like 2.5 years right until when I moved to Flagstaff, and I haven't worked since then. And so it's like, I love working with people. I feel like it's my ultimate calling, honestly. Like when this chapter of my life of professional running is done, I'm definitely going to go back to, to school and get my nursing degree and go help people, because I feel like that is the way that I will be able to help more people one-on-one.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to Trials Day. So I know you talked about it a lot. Well, first of all, you've done so many interviews and so many podcasts, and you always do them with the same energy. Do you ever, be honest, do you ever get sick of this?
Let's just say I am an extrovert. Everybody knows that. But I'm sure there's been one or two interviews where I was like wilting away, like just like, oh my God. But that was like probably right in the beginning because it was so overwhelming that I had a lot of interviews to do. There were times that I had to do twice, like 2 interviews a day. But these days now it's slowed down. So I love doing this. And I know that if the world was different, I probably would have had a lot more appearances. So this is, I guess, a piece of cake. I remember like, I think about what people like this did. When she won Boston Marathon, the stuff that she had to do. And I'm like, wow, this is a piece of cake. So I should just enjoy, because again, I know that this is just for now. It's not going to last forever. So I'm going to ride it as long as I can. And I'm going to use my platform, my new platform, to inspire as many people as possible when they still give me their attention.
and so in the 2 months since you won the trials, what's the biggest change that you've had in your, obviously your life has changed. What's the biggest thing that's happened?
Other than the interviews, honestly, and my hats, tripling in demand, I don't know if there's anything else that has changed. I am still as lazy as I always have been. I procrastinate about my runs. I don't think a whole lot has changed. I think it's just the amount of attention that people have given me. I've had a lot of Twitter followers, our Instagram followers too. I have a lot of interviews. People want to hear from me, people messaging me. But other than that, honestly, I don't see, like, as a person, nothing has changed. I haven't changed. And I don't plan.
I just remember when you won Peachtree in 2017, I remember thinking, we're going to see a lot of Aliphine over the next couple of years. And that's a great thing for the sport. And here we are.
Here we are.
You're the trials champion. So I want to talk about that race. you
Yeah.
came in, I wouldn't say you came in as an underdog. That's not fair. But I would say you came in as under the radar. How confident were you when you were standing on the start line that Saturday morning?
Well, let's just say that I was very confident until I started developing these, like, minor aches and pains that really scared me. I remember waking up the day before the race and feeling something on my quad where I had my stress fracture, and that never went away. And then the night before the race, I had something on my shin, and then I woke up this morning, I had something on my hip, and I got really frustrated because of that, because I thought that I was breaking down right before the race. But before that, I was very confident because my training was on next level, honestly, for this build up. Like, I didn't miss any workout, I didn't have any like setbacks, and my workouts were just really fast, and so I was super confident. But then on the other hand, this was like probably the deepest Olympic marathon trials that we've had. And there were at least 10 women that could have made that team, and most of those women were way better than me. And so on one hand, I was very confident because of my training, but then on the other hand, I was like, but then these women that are here, they are really good, and I think probably all of them have beat me one or twice, or some of them had never beat. So it was kind of interesting that way.
You came in and ran the course in November. Did that give you an advantage at all? Did that help you on race day, having that knowledge of the race course?
So yeah, definitely. I didn't run it that fast because in November when I came, it was only my first week of training post New York, so I didn't run fast, and so it was kind of hard to gauge how difficult the hills were. But I knew that the last 6 miles were going to be really, really hard. And T, my partner, actually made it his business to print out the course map, and every day, like, he wanted me to review it and see where the up and down were and remember every part of the course. Of course, I didn't remember everything, but I definitely coming there and running that course. I knew that was tough, and also having run P3 a couple of times, I knew that it would be pretty hard. So I came into the race 100% recognizing that it was a hard course, and so there was no sugarcoating. I knew that it was a hard course, and so I was prepared to know that it's going to be difficult.
When you made the move at mile 1920ish, was that part of the plan all along, or were you just sort of responding to what was happening within the race with the big pack that you guys had?
I was actually responding to what was happening because up until that point, I think that last loop we started gradually increasing the pace, and we were going uphill. And I didn't even realize that, the pack was there was no pack anymore. The people were falling, apart until Molly, Saidel. Because now that I think about it, so Sally, I believe, was leading, and then Molly was right on her side, and I went with her. And then I guess somehow Molly started leading, and I was following her. And then a moment later, I looked back and I was like, where is the pack? And in that moment, I knew that I need to seize that opportunity. And I just went by her side and I was like, let's go, Molly. And I think we increased significantly. It was almost like a sprint right away. And I think we kind of separated that way.
We talked to Molly last night, and she talked a lot about these last couple of miles. How important was having her there with you when you guys decided to make that move and break away?
It was very important. I mean, I know that a lot of people keep talking about me making that move, but it was as much me as it was Molly, because she was also pretty strong. There were times where I was she might actually leave me, because especially whenever we were going uphill, she would I felt like she was super strong, but then there were times where I felt like she was in distress. And so we kind of supported each other. I think it was a mutual benefit. It was mutually beneficial for both of us to be together.
And you guys, friends coming into this, have you talked to Molly or any of your other new Team USA teammates since trials?
No, not exactly. No. I mean, apart from my teammates, no.
Mm-hmm. There was a moment we also talked to Molly. We talked to Jake about this a couple of nights ago. You had that flag when you came across the line. What were you thinking when you grabbed that flag? I think we thought it was 400 meters out, but as I talked to the members of Team USA, it was closer to 600, maybe 800 meters out. When you grabbed that, did you think, now I've got to stay on the team now because I can't be holding this flag when I come across the line and being fourth?
Jay, I wasn't thinking. I think I didn't see the flag soon enough, and it was it just so happened I saw the flag right in front of me. I was like, I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna try to grab it if I can, and I did. But I don't think like I wasn't thinking about what was going on. Honestly, I just wasn't thinking. I think at that point I was super scared that Molly was probably gonna come and out kick me.
And you wanted to win. It wasn't just about making.
Yeah, no, like no. At that point, like once Molly and I broke away, I was like, this is my chance to win. You know, like there's no way I shouldn't give myself the best chance to win. It wasn't guaranteed that I was gonna win, but I was like, this is my chance. And 3 weeks before that, Molly Seidel actually outsprinted me in Houston. You know, she came by me in the last like half mile or maybe last mile of the race, and she ended up running probably like almost 20 seconds, ahead of me. Just in the last like probably like 800 to 1,000 meters to go. So on that last stretch, I was just thinking, I don't want her to catch me again.
Were you surprised to see somebody who had not competed at 26.2 that close to a veteran marathoner that late in the race?
Interestingly, I don't think I even thought about that. You know, like, so usually when I'm racing, there's not a whole lot going on in my mind. I'm not analyzing things, but I just remember thinking that like once High and I broke away, I remember thinking that now is a chance for me to help her. She's never ran a marathon before. She doesn't know what it feels like. And when I ran my first marathon, I felt so good until my 23 and a half. And those last 2.5 miles were the longest miles that I could remember. And so I remember thinking, I have to help her. I don't want her to suffer through this, especially like in a course like that. And if you are to fall apart and you don't know what you're getting yourself into, it will be really hard. And actually in January in Houston, Hai and I sat next to each other in the bus to the start line, and she was telling me, you know, how she wasn't confident about her marathon training. And I remember encouraging her. And so I knew she didn't like have a whole lot of time to build up, like, you know, I did. And even in Flagstaff, one of those, like after Houston, we had a 26-mile that weekend, and I was like, I ran into her, and like I ran with her, and I was like, hey, you should join us this weekend for a 26-mile long run. And she's like, I don't think I can make it that far. So in the race, I think in the back of my mind, I knew like she hasn't run this far before, and so I felt like it was my responsibility to like help her, because it wasn't just like by helping her, I was also helping myself.
Bob, who actually handed you that flag, is in the comments, and he's saying 600 meters. So 600 meters is where the flag was. I can see him in there saying, I was right at the split. So Bob is our flag man. So hello, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Another question about the course. Everybody talked about the hills going into the race, but the wind ended up being as much, if not more, of a factor in this race. What was harder for you, the wind or the hills?
Honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, Jay, none of those.
Really? So what was the hardest part?
I felt like I tacked in very well during the windy sections. There was only one time where I was in front and I didn't feel like I felt the wind, like it was gusty, but then I was just tacking in most of the time. But then the hills, so I would say the hills, because like the last 2 miles of every loop was definitely hard. Like I remember even the first couple of loops, I was like, this is really hard, you know, like we were still like, I think there was one that we ran like a 5:55, and we were still running, like it felt like we were running fast. So I think the hills, but really honestly, I don't think I felt like both of them as much.
How much did the
But then again, it goes a long way to say that when you're having a good day and when you're ready, things become easy.
And how much did the crowd support play into that?
Oh my God, the crowds were insane. I mean, Atlanta, I know that Atlanta flat is not flat, but if that is the crowds that we will have, you guys can always hold like the Olympic trials. I will give you that. That was the best. I don't know how I am going to go run another race that doesn't have crowds like Atlanta and run well. That was insane. I mean, every section of the course was so loud. I was like, are these people not like tired or something? They were screaming. Every section of it, it was amazing. It was incredible. I never seen anything like that.
I think you have 200,000 new fans after that weekend, and you had a bunch of them here before. I mean, this is sort of like, you know, you've had really big success here in Atlanta, so people know who you are, and I think you had a lot of people rooting for you coming into the race.
Yeah, I love Atlanta. Atlanta is good. I mean, I loved Atlanta when I came there the first time in 2017, you know, for the 4th of July race, and I won, and it was beautiful, and I wanted to come back. Came back in 2018, I came in second, I wasn't very happy, so I definitely had to come back and win.
You
And
came in
that was
second.
by far the best.
You came in second to a teammate. I want to ask you
Yeah,
about another
yeah.
teammate. Your teammate Kellen had a broken bone in the race and still finished sixth. What does that say about how tough the NAS Elite team is?
She finished eighth, but I mean,
Hey,
Kellen is
okay.
incredible. I don't know, like as somebody who's had a stress fracture before or can handle injuries very well, I don't know how Kellen did that. That woman is a beast. I mean, I can't imagine, like, or I can't help thinking that if she hadn't had that stress fracture, because, like, you know, right before we met our move, she was, you know, up front. If she hadn't had that stress fracture, I wonder, like, how different the results would have been. I guess we'll never know, but it would have been really nice if, like, she was healthy, because she was fit, you know, like in workouts, like we were like basically running the same. And I am so grateful we have a really good team. Like Stephanie came in sixth, Kellen came in eighth with a broken bone. That's just amazing.
Really incredible group that you guys have there. Somebody wrote in the comments that they heard on the television broadcast that you were one of 15 children. I know that that's not true. Why don't you clear that up for our friend in the comments there?
You may double that. I'm one of 32 children.
There you go. One of 32 children. 15 is shortchanging you.
15 is just like, that's not enough.
No, it's not enough. I have 2 kids. I don't know how I could. I think that's enough. I don't know if I can do 30 more.
Yeah.
What was one of the key workouts leading up to the trials that really helped you dial in that fitness and know that you were ready to go?
Yeah, so my last big session was a 15 mile steady state. And so there's this famous Black Male Road in Flagstaff, and that day was windy. So we were supposed to finish the harder way, which is basically uphill, like net uphill, but it was windy. So we kind of started with that section and then finished the other direction, which wasn't necessarily easy, but we all ran together until about mile 11 or about mile, I ran with Kellen, I think until about mile 12. And then I kind of pulled away, and around mile 12 or mile like 11 and a half, I was at 540 Afric pace. But when I finished at like 536 Afric pace. And so I think that those last 3 miles, like last two actually were like under 520. And I was feeling so good, like I finished and I just felt comfortable and I knew that I was ready. Like, you know, compared to the spring of last year when I was getting ready for my Rotterdam marathon, I ran a 541. And it was the easiest like section going the other direction. And I was struggling then, and I ran a 226. So like running a 536 Afric pace with like closing significantly fast and feeling good, I knew that I was ready.
I do want to take some time. We don't have a ton of time left. I do want to ask about the beanies. So can you let everybody, you talk about your injury. What's the origin of this project?
Yeah, so last summer, actually, right before 4th of July, like it was the end of June, I was diagnosed with a stress fracture. In fact, I was supposed to run Peachtree. And so I ended up scratching out of Peachtree, and that was basically the last race that I ran, like the race before Peachtree. And so I mean, after I got my results, I was told that I needed 8 weeks off. And the first day I watched a lot of Netflix and I almost lost my mind. So I knew that I needed something. And so I went. I kept getting better, and finally I found a pattern that I really liked, and it was fast. And I just stopped crocheting, and I started selling them in the fall and winter. People actually bought them, and I don't know, like I just enjoyed doing it a lot. So that when I started running again, I just continued to crochet. And when I won the trials, I mean, the sale for it just went through the roof.
How long does it take to make one of these?
About an hour and a half, depending on
how far.
Yes.
Wow. You ever say, okay, I didn't expect it to get this big. I'm gonna hang up my crocheting kit, or are you gonna keep doing it?
I think I'm gonna keep doing it. I get super excited. Like when I reopened my Etsy shop this last time, I got so many orders. Like my shop sold out at 272 orders, and I think the highest order for one of those was like 6 beanies. And so like sometimes I get stressed out about it. I'm like, oh my God, I need to get these beanies to people, but I can't do, I can crochet fast enough. But I think I will continue to crochet because I can't see myself not crocheting. Like it's something that it's become part of me now.
And it's also I feel like for somebody who's extroverted as you and who likes to connect with people, this isn't as much about selling beanies as it is about just building a connection with your fans and the people who love to watch you run and watch what you do.
Yeah, I mean, and I've gotten a lot of messages, from people, telling me how grateful it is that they've been able to buy my beanies because for whatever, like knockdown life has like handed them, they've been able to, like my beanies have been able to remind them to be resilient. I've gotten beanies, for people ordering for their friends who are working in the healthcare because of what's going on and just how that's going to remind them of their strength. I've gotten, like orders of people wanting to get this for their, like their friends who are pregnant and they want them to be strong while they have their baby. I've met beanies for like little babies. I never met like baby beanies before, but I've had to like teach myself. And so I think I've been able to make a lot of connections and a lot of friends through crocheting. And I'm really grateful for that because like, I mean, I guess I tell people that find a passion, especially right now, find a hobby or passion that you can enjoy doing to pass time and distract yourself. But if you can share it with people, that's even better. And so for me, my goal has always been to make so many beanies and share with so many people so that it makes me happy to see many people wear my beanies. I mean, sharing a little piece of me is just what I'm going for.
Makes me happy to wear it. So thank you.
Yeah, and you got it before I even was a champion. So yes, you made the right choice.
I know we've got only a minute and two left, so I have to ask you a couple questions that came from the comments, and then some, and for a track workout playlist right now.
I actually don't listen to music.
Okay.
Not like people do, like they have a playlist. I'll listen to music randomly. As a matter of fact, I just got myself, or Tim got me a radio the other day, so I've been rocking some music. But I don't have a playlist.
Well, okay, so what kind of music then? What's your genre?
Today I was listening to a lot of Latino music and dancing to that, so that was really good. But I love country music. As a matter of fact, Kellen, Stephanie, and I had a plan of going to a country, like a honky-tonk bar after the trials. That never happened, but that was my plan for celebration. I would like to go dance to country music. So I love country music. There's something about it that makes me feel very good.
You said that you got bored with Netflix really quickly, but do you have any Netflix recommendations for all of us who are stuck at home right now?
Yeah, we've been watching Westworld. I think it's pretty good.
You really need to focus on that, though. So
yeah.
All right. And then for those of us who want to curl up with a good book, any good book recommendations?
Gosh, I mean, the only good book that I've read in the recent past is 26 Marathons by Matt Plesky. I love that book. It is so inspiring, and I don't think it's necessarily for runners. I think it's for everybody, and it's something that people could actually read it right now. So 26 Marathons is a really good book.
Yeah, we had Meb on last week, and that book was fantastic. Is fantastic. So definitely recommend.
That book is so good. It's so like, it's addicting and has a lot of suspense. Like you just want to read the next chapter, and it's very easy to read too. So I really enjoyed it.
Could you see yourself writing a book?
I think I can. Yeah, I think I have a lot of stories. If I can just put them into pages, because I go like, I don't plan. If I can be a planner someday, I probably will write a book.
Last question for you. What's running and racing look like in your mind when this is all over and we can get back to the start line?
I think it would be like a celebration. It would be like, we are on the other hand of, life, and, we already have seen the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think people would come out to celebrate life and celebrate good health.
Aliphine, always great to talk to you. Thanks so much for taking the time. Congratulations again. I can't say it enough. It's so great to